What's up everybody, it's Seth from Fowler Customs, and today I'm counting down my top 5 favorite sneaker stores in New York City. Thanks so much for tuning in today, guys. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't yet, but with all that being said, let's get into it. So I get a lot of video suggestions in the comments from you guys. Some of them I think are more doable than others, and some of them I want to do, but I just don't have the time. And this is a video that I've wanted to do for a long time, and it's been suggested by a couple of you multiple times. So I figured now would be as good a time as any to count down this list. Of course, because New York is a giant city, there's 1,000,001 sneaker stores, and they're all pretty decent. There's none that I actually don't like. The thing is, I just wanted to condense the list down to a top 5 of just my favorite sneaker stores, the one that I go to on a regular basis. And of course the list is fluid and it's gonna change, but right now, these are the top 5 that I go to. These are the 5 that I probably visit once or twice a week. It's way too much, to be honest. And the reason I do that is because it's either just a great store and a great environment, or they always have like limited stuff a little bit later than everyone else, or just sneaker steals, things like that. So if you really like a sneaker store in the city and it's not on the list, it's not because I don't like the store, it's just because right now, it's not on my regular rotation. So without further ado, let's get into number 5. The first store on my list is the Nike Flagship in Soho. First of all, you have to be really prepared when you go into this store because it's just 5 or 6 floors of just straight Nike. The first floor, right when you walk in, has all these different displays that rotate based on the season or whatever it is they're marketing. I think there's a women's running section or something off to the side. I don't know. Recently, it was covered up because of Air Max Day. They were doing something else. But on every floor, whether you like the products or not, meaning like you're a guy and you're in the women's section, there's always something about the store that's really cool and interesting, whether that's a sculpture that they've done or a display that they've done. But if you're like me, the only places you're really interested in are the Air Maxes and lifestyle area, and then obviously the basketball sneaker area. So even though the store has elevators, I always take the escalators because you never know what you're gonna miss when you're taking the elevator. The second floor is like the lifestyle or Air Max section of the store. They have a bespoke area where you can laser engrave your own designs on some Air Force Ones, things like that. And then they also, on the left side, as soon as you come up the stairs, have just a huge wall of all their lifestyle stuff. And recently with Air Max Day, they've just been overloaded with Air Maxes, so there's a bunch of shoes that you probably can't find other places. Nothing too crazy that I've seen, but it's not a bad place to check. If you keep going up the escalators a couple more floors, you finally hit the top floor, which is like the crazy Jordan basketball floor, and if you love any of those shoes, you're gonna freak out when you see this floor. As soon as you come up the stairs, they've got the Jordan wall staring you in the face, and one thing I have to say is that no matter what time of day or night, whatever day of the week it is, there's always some random Jordan that you would never expect to be there. I think last time I was there, it was the white Air Jordan 1 premiums, the ones that were like $400, and a pair that when they first released were really tough to get and were reselling for like $700, and now, you know, a year or two later, they're just sitting on the store shelf at Nike Soho. So you really have no idea what you're gonna find. There's always, like I said, crazy stuff, so it's definitely worth checking out. And then of course there's the rest of the Nike basketball area, which always has all the LeBrons and KDs and things like that. Again, sometimes they release stuff early. There's always random things that you wouldn't expect. Also, there's a basketball court up there, which is crazy. So you can actually test out the shoes that you want to grab on court. Coming in at the number 4 spot, it's 21 Mercer Nike Lab. So this store is actually pretty small. It's really only 2 rooms, but what they do have is a lot of the designer stuff that you actually can't find in most retail stores. It's definitely a more upscale or designer-based Nike store than just about any other Nike store in the city. And I'm sure you've heard multiple times how they get their own special limited releases. Sometimes it's like a Nike Lab exclusive, things like that. Because it's more of a boutique, it's got more of like a limited nature to it, which kind of lends itself perfectly to more limited releases. And with most of the other stores in this list, you can usually find things that are sold out everywhere else. And actually, just to address the reason that this store is number 4 on the list and Nike Soho was number 5, even though it's so much bigger, it's honestly just because I've had so much more luck at Nike Lab. Like, I found so many more limited things so much later at Nike Lab than I did at Nike Soho. For example, the last couple Supreme releases. Coming in at number 3 on the list, this store isn't going to be a surprise to anyone, and it's probably the newest store on the list, the Adidas Flagship store on 5th Avenue. So like with the Nike Soho store, I also went to the grand opening of this store, and I've got to say, I was again just blown away by the sheer scale of the building. This store has fewer floors than the Nike store. It's only got 3 or 4, but the floors themselves are actually a lot more spread out, and there's a lot more to see. And obviously, like most of you guys, I'm on a pretty big Adidas kick right now, so this is kind of my weekly go-to. This store gets all of the Adidas releases, and they get more stock than just about everywhere else, so you have a better chance of grabbing more limited stuff if you go there first. That is, if you get there early enough. But recently I've seen that they've had a couple random restocks, which was surprising and nice. And arguably the best part of the entire store is the My Adidas section, where you can customize your own Ultra Boosts. And actually, as of right now, you can't do that anywhere else. Coming in at the number 2 spot on the list, it's the Foot Locker on 34th Street. So if you know this area at all, you probably know that there's actually 2 Foot Lockers on 34th Street. I'm not talking about the one that's more east, I'm actually talking about the one that's between, I believe, 7th and 6th, right across the street from that famous Macy's. This Foot Locker is crazy. It's almost like a consignment store. Every time I go in there, there's something that I'm just like, what is this doing here? This is crazy. Of course, when they first opened, they had that giant restock, which actually most of the shoes were available for like 2 days because there was just so many shoes to be had. And one thing that kind of blew my mind was that for like 4 or 5 months, the Pantone 11 pack was just sitting in the Jordan section. Like, it was just sitting there for months. This is a store that I stop by at least once a week, especially when I know there's a shoe coming out that I really want to grab. And the reason for that is because sometimes they just put the shoe out early. That's actually how I got the LeBron 14s like a week early, because I just happened to go into the Foot Locker on a Friday night and there was the LeBron 14 Chase Down colorway just chilling. They had both colorways of the What the Kyries sitting a week before they released, which was like, are they even allowed to do that? I'm not sure. I don't want to blow up their spot, so don't tell anybody about this because I want them to keep doing this. They had most of the colorways of the SF AF1s chilling for like a week. I mean, this whole store is like a giant, just friggin' consignment store, like I said. It's crazy. The only section I haven't had a lot of luck in was the Adidas section, and I just think it's because they don't get a lot of the lifestyle stuff. Like, they don't get a lot of Ultra Boosts. They do have some NMDs, and actually some NMDs that other stores just straight up don't have, but none of it's like the crazy hype stuff. And it's not that they don't get that stuff at all, it's just that stuff is the stuff that sells like that. There's just no way it's ever gonna sit anywhere, so I can't really fault them for that. So basically, if you're in New York, say you came into Penn Station and you just happen to be in Midtown, if you don't go to that store, you're crazy. Just saying. And don't take my word for it, watch any other shoe-tuber who's come to New York and gone to that store. Straight up, they'll tell you, craziest freaking Foot Locker they've ever been to. Also, I haven't been to the Foot Locker in Times Square just because, 1, I hate Times Square and I try and go there as little as possible, but also 2, I just haven't heard too many great things about it, so I don't feel the need to go. Coming in at number 1, this is by far my favorite sneaker spot probably ever, actually. I think this might be my favorite sneaker store that I've ever been to, straight up. That store is Kith Manhattan. Kith is this crazy sneaker store just off Broadway Lafayette. It's sort of more of a boutique store than just like a regular retail store like a Foot Locker. But when you go inside, the selection and just the amount of awesome stuff, I mean, it's crazy. It's insane. I will say this, unlike Foot Locker, I don't walk in with the expectation that I'll find something crazy, because a lot of times you'll go in, they'll have a really good selection of stuff, but nothing, you know, too limited. But the reason I put this store at number 1 on my list is because when they do have crazy stuff, they have crazy stuff. I'd say like 70% of my hype sneakers are from Kith. And the crazy part is, with the exception of the Kith Ultra Boost, I didn't even grab them on release day. This guy, I walked in on a Monday after the shoe released, and it was sitting there in my size. How often does that happen? I've gotten Nikes, I've gotten Ultra Boosts, I've gotten Dornbeckers. Most recently I walked in and they had the entire White Mountaineering collection that just dropped. It's weird how much stuff is just left sitting there. I don't get it, and it's not that the store isn't busy, because the store is always packed. I don't know if they hold on to the stuff and then release it or what the deal is, but when I find a limited release there, it's like a serious limited release. And yes, the chance of finding super limited releases is the reason I go to the store every single week. But to be honest, the store itself is incredibly well put together. The staff is solid. Everything that they've done and everything that Ronnie Feig has done to build the Kith brand and the Kith name is awesome. So I have to, you know, give him a round of applause for that, because that store is honestly just an awesome experience. And they also got my girl Emily Oberg working there now too, so doesn't hurt. But seriously, it's an awesome store. So's Kith Brooklyn. I haven't been to Kith Miami, but the whole thing is great, and that's why it's number 1. That's pretty much it for the video today, guys. Make sure to leave a comment in the comment section down below letting me know what your favorite sneaker stores in your area are. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to Fowler Customs if you want to see more content just like this, and follow Fowler Customs on Snups, Instagram, and on Twitter.